Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird, true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 414, written by Irredditant-Elephant, to be terrorized with lights. I was just about to go to sleep at around 2 a.m. just now, before I realized that there were these bluish circles of light flying around, projecting on my window. They weren't too bright, but they still managed to paint light blue circles of refracted light on my adjacent bedroom wall. After staring at them for some time, I noticed they moved in somewhat of a pattern. They appear off on my window, moving across from edge to edge. I don't know if they're being caused by an outdoor disco ball light thing, because when I finally gathered the courage to start moving, they stopped, and looking outside the window, I didn't see a single neighbor either, besides our house or across the street, using one, or anything for that matter. When I went back to my bed, they started again. I tried about 3 more times to check outside, but every goddamn time I got up to go check, they'd just stop. What the hell could possibly have been happening? No one can see me through my blinds, so there would be no way to know when I'm standing up or in my bed. I'm not even sure if it's anything supernatural, but I'm dead curious as to what those lights are. One of them just got brighter, like very bright. They came back tonight, and when I sprang to the windows to catch anything outside, I noticed a greenish-bluish light coming from the backyard across the street. It's a pretty large street. I don't know what it is exactly, but it didn't seem to be shining lights at anyone else's window but mine. I'm scared. The lights are just zooming around my window like someone's playing with a high-beam flashlight or something. But I can't imagine my neighbors that I don't even know could sit down and spend hours continuously doing that. Why would they? For what end? Has something similar happened to anyone else? Case file number 415, written by MRV713. My dad didn't want to go to church so badly, he created a glitch in the Matrix. This night has always stuck with me very vividly and remains unexplained in my mind. I just found this forum a month or so back, and it seems like this may fit. A couple years back, when I lived with my parents, I came home for a few to pick up my sister, who also lived in the apartment upstairs. A quick explanation of the driveway, as it adds to some detail. My parents have a driveway that looks like a street extension. It's also an access road for public works to get to the playground behind the house. Confused people in the area think it's a road and park on it, angering my 60-year-old parents. By pulling into the driveway at nighttime, 8:30 to 9 p.m., this would typically spark one of my parents to make sure that people weren't stealing parking spots. As I pulled in and turned around waiting, I saw my father in a t-shirt and pajama pants walk past our large kitchen window, look out, and then continue on in the kitchen. From my perspective, it appeared he went down the basement stairs to do laundry or something. My bedroom was also in the basement, so maybe he was coming to say hi when I got home. My sister comes out and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna run in quick because it looks like my dad was worried about who was here. Also, I thought it would be odd for my dad to see me come home in the driveway just for me to turn around and leave, so I went in to say hi and let him know what the heck I was doing. I get into the house through the back door and start calling for him. No response. I looked on all the first floor, nobody, the house is silent. Down the basement, calling for him and nothing, no answer. Now I'm worried that he's dead on the floor somewhere, so I'm a little nervous looking around and calling out. The way my house is set up, there is access from the basement to all apartments. My aunt lived on the 2nd floor, away for the week, my sister on the 3rd. Nobody else was in the house. Maybe he went upstairs for something? So I'm calling for him and checking all the floors. Nobody. At this point, I am perplexed and hoping he's not dead somewhere in the house. I go back out to the car and I'm visibly sort of shaken. I asked my sister if my dad had come out here to the garage or to the car to say hello. He had not. This was before he'd carry his cell phones at all times, so I left, sort of confused. My sister told me my mother was out at some church event or something equally awful. Maybe he went with her, and I'll call the house in a bit. Well, I will call back later, and everyone is fine. He happened to have gone with my mother to the event, and that was that. What I do know is that he was wearing the outfit I saw, which I was able to describe to him earlier in the day before he showered and went out to the event. This threw us both because I was spot on. He's a spiritual/supernatural lover, so I thought it was cool. He also mentioned that he almost didn't go to the event. This experience of seeing him walk by the window and head downstairs was extremely vivid and unmistakably my dad in the house. He was definitely there. With being able to describe the clothes and him saying he almost didn't go, it made me think it was another timeline, or a glitch that played out as if he didn't go to the event with my mom, or something like that. I don't know. This was super weird and still makes my hair stand on end. Case notes, file number 415. The fact that you were able to describe exactly what he was wearing to your dad, and indeed it was correct as he mentioned, this does prove that what you saw is something that happened. Now, there's options of course. It's probably that you just saw him in another timeline where he did indeed make the choice to not go to church. And again, multiverse theory, it's simply the manifestation of every possible event that could happen based on the laws of physics. So anything that could change to any of the chaos that's happening at any given moment with any particle, including of course our synapses, which results in our choices, will result in a new timeline. Now it's always the same question. How is it that some people are able to transition between universes, or how are people able to see them sometimes? Honestly, I'm beginning to think that it's a combination of special people, but also environment. There has to be some kind of trigger. We just don't know what it is yet. But I think we'll find out. Case file number 416, written by Sly98, a language that is not human. This happened like 3 days ago, around 7 p.m. I'm an American living in Germany, but I speak plenty enough German to get by in conversation and street encounters. Living here has also made me very instantly perceptive to Turkish and many other languages commonly spoken by residents. I say this because this language spoken to me was so impossibly foreign and unnatural sounding that I genuinely thought I was being cursed or witnessing a total break in the simulation. So with that incredibly long preface out of the way, I'll try to explain the most bizarre human interaction I've ever experienced. In the evenings, I typically walk to my nearby grocer, and that's exactly what I was doing when this event happened. On my route, I saw a giant moving van or company truck parked where the sidewalk meets the driveway of a house. To be honest, I thought absolutely nothing of it, but as I rounded the corner of the truck, I entered the frame of the two Donnies in question. These guys didn't look like your atypical movers, but if I had to first guess an ethnicity, I would say Southeastern European or Middle Eastern. The strange bit, however, was they were team lifting an obviously ultra-heavy piece of metal that looked like what I can only begin to describe as looking similar to a corporate AC vent, with a semi-chrome finish that looked very out of place for a tiny old German single house they were delivering it to. Sort of similar to one of those funnel things. I know it's not necessarily absurd to be carrying a giant unit around, but like I said, they were taking it to a rundown house despite the unit being big and fancy enough to be on the top of a business building. Regardless, as soon as he saw me, they instantly started speaking to me at the exact same time. I had no clue what language they were speaking, but it was definitely not German, or anything I've heard before at all. I simply said, Dutch? English? At no point in my asking did either of them ever stop speaking or seem to acknowledge my question, but when I finished asking, they began walking backwards with a piece of metal towards the house while continuing to drone at me. The strangeness of the situation kind of caught up with me at this point, so naturally I just started walking the hell away and peeked behind myself the entire rest of the way to the store. Case file number 417, written by walpolemarsh. The best glitch in the universe. Money just appears. I'm on short-term disability leave after having a cholecystectomy. For some, perhaps foolish reason, I thought my pay would continue unchanged until I got back to work. A couple days ago, however, I learned that I'm only receiving 70% of my normal pay. Bit of a bummer. At any rate, this morning I had an unexpected email from PayPal. Action required on PayPal account to avoid inactivity fee. I forgot I even had an account. It had been so long, so I decided to at least log in. Lo and behold, there was money in there from over 3 years ago. Not only that, the amount was only a few cents short of what I was missing from my last paycheck. It was a pleasant way to start the day, but I have absolutely no idea how it got there.